Like seriously, I mean, I'm glad it's just like the waist up at the waist down. I literally got caught my pants down literally today. It was just a really crazy ass busy day. But how about you, my friend? What have you been up to?
Man, it's been a busy, busy day as well. Doing the 9 to 5 grind, and then um, did an interview with Bonnie D. Graham earlier today, and that was pretty cool. Uh, but other than that, man, just jobbing away.
Yeah. No, I'm nearly free of the grind. I'm this close. I'm this close.
I know I've been kind of following you, and you're like up to 4 figures a month on the freelancing, and
Yeah.
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, no, it's just been kind of it's been kind of like a work in progress. Now like there's going to be ups and downs. So I'm still in that. Oh god, it's up. No god, it's down. Oh god, it's up. Oh god, it's down. I'm still there. But no, man, it's possible. I it's one of those things I realized in life that like for me, it was like my first taste of freedom, like real freedom, right? And it's crazy, it's chaotic. I might have some chaos tonight when we're done. I got to talk to another client about something else I'm doing. But I also got a really cool day job right now, right? It's a temporary day job, but essentially I'm a backup. I do nothing. I make $50 a day. I do absolutely nothing.
Well, that's not a bad gig.
No, it ain't. It really ain't. No, I mean I'm a backup for something. So if I get called up, I have to go do it. But it's 5 hours at $20 an hour. It's a 3 month deal. It's
Uh-huh.
perfect for someone trying to freelance for a living.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
and you get paid even if you don't get called.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so that's sweet. You get get a few bucks for just standing by.
Bills. Yeah. Get $3 for standing by. Hey, they're paying me for my time. It's fair, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not a ton of money, but seriously, I can literally say to somebody, "What did you get paid for?" Nothing. I did absolutely nothing and got $50.
I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody would look at me like, "Wait, what?" But it's like, so what else do you do? It's like I make videos for clients and I'm doing other things, and literally like I today was I had a template nailed down, and I've been doing all kinds of stuff basically for the last little bit, and I'm just watching it like them upload now. So I had a template nailed down, and then I'm moving. I was looking for work. I got this job, and so it literally ended up like this. Now I'm back in Canmore, Alberta, kind of wrapping up my time here. Saturday, I'm looking for two. I'm looking at two places. So I'm just like I'm renting a room. Like I said, I'm starting at the bottom in some ways, but in other ways I'm not. This is like I've hit that point in my life where it's just like I can build it now. I
Yeah.
I can see the horizon of like I just personally on a personal note, I have no really get nothing against anybody doing a 9 to 5 job, but I also think that by and large they're extinct. They're going extinct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can build something for yourself now, you should. Like you really should.
Yeah. And I mean, why not? We learned so much during the pandemic that, yeah, we don't have to be, most of us anyway. I mean, the person that cooks my meal at a restaurant, they pretty much have to be at the restaurant.
Yes.
But most of the office grinds, you don't really need to be in the office.
No. No. It's funny. The office job is probably the most location free job in the world. If you can legally work there, if you can legitimately legally work there, you probably can. You probably should just apply from wherever. It doesn't matter. You're never
Yeah.
gonna have to go in the office ever, really, if you don't want to. And that's actually not a bad deal. I've done a little bit of corporate work during my pandemic times. I want to work for a better company. We'll just leave it at that.
All right. So beyond writing your Alice pandemic
Oh, so you have been following
stories,
me? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I read Alice Zero. I haven't read Alice One yet,
Okay.
and I'm kind of curious. I don't know many people that first rattle out of the box go, oh, okay, poetry, epic
Oh.
poetry.
Oh.
So
So
how'd you make that jump into that?
okay. So that's a so okay. I've told the story on the podcast before. I accidentally wrote and published a book this way, and I'll tell you how I did it. Okay. and and the kicker is the end, because and here's the thing, it ended up being traditionally published too. I did not know. This was, I had, about in 2005, I wrote a poetry collection called I Am. It's not something I advertised very much because it's my first thing. It was an honest attempt at getting, but it's a bunch of short little poems. Nothing big, nothing small. It felt like, kind of like, it's the closest thing to like an album I've ever done. I can't sing worth a damn, but I wrote like pretty honest poetry. I'll just say it was honest. Good. Yeah. We'll leave that to other people that have read it and bought it and stuff, but honest, right? So so I go to, I published this book. This led to me working for one of my heroes. It does not end well. Sometimes meeting your heroes is the greatest thing. Sometimes not so much. I can honestly say about him, the only thing I will mention about him here, he's one of the greatest artists I've ever met. And actually, truth be told, in spite of everything I may think about him personally, he's actually a very decent human being. I can be honest about that, but it didn't work out. I got my ass kicked hard, right? The consequences for that were hard. To the point, so I come back to Calgary the first time. I come back to Calgary the second time. I had nothing. Eerily similar, but not quite the same this time around. But I said, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to get off my feet. It made me want my dreams harder, believe it or not. Not less, more. So I wanted to write, so same thing. I was going to do a poetry collection like I Am. So along the way, I stumbled on I write a story about a slave boy in a tower. This compound's run by dragons, and he goes out into the wilderness. He looks out and wonders what's out there. And I really liked that. And I was like, okay, I got to know what happens next. So in chapter 2, he kills his dragon master. I can end it there. Chapter 3, right? He's first night alone, and I was dealing with the fact that he killed somebody. Like what that would do to somebody. A kid, of all things, who's not just an adult, a kid, right?
Yeah.
Still some of my favorite writing to this day. So chapter 3 became chapter 4. Chapter 4 became chapter 5. Chapter 5 became chapter 6. And this is my story. And I always, so for me, growing up, I read Samuel Taylor Coleridge, Calvin Miller, T.S. Eliot, those longer epic kind of style things, right? So I always wanted to do one. That was not the plan, but that's kind of what happened there. And then I go to a local comic shop, and I find somebody I worked at a Kinko's with is doing comics now. So I thought to myself, I can ask her to maybe get some illustrations done. She said yes. I paid her and all that stuff. So my plan was to do Smashwords, okay? Smashwords, print from demand stuff for conventions. That was it. That was the whole of my master plan. Then someone buys my Smashwords, someone I interviewed years ago, and she goes, I really like this. What are you going to do with it? That's what I just told you. So she goes to me, well, that's pretty nice. I'll tell you what, I just signed a deal with Ingram Spark. I'll publish your book. And that's how you accidentally write and get published traditionally.
Well, hell, if I'd known it was that easy, I would have done it myself.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, when you do stuff in this life, right, you make an impact.
Yeah.
So a poetry editor wanted me to be part of her Lewis Carroll anthology. So she liked my epic poetry style. So therefore I go, now the story behind Alice Zero is this. I was trying to rack in my brain what to say about Lewis Carroll that has not been said. Mm-hmm. When I go to the bar that night and meet a girl with a Gorgon tattoo on her arm. She has a Gorgon tattoo. She made it herself. Really cute. I hit on her. She plays for the other team. It's all good. We actually are friends. Like, we're still friends to this day. I go to her, hey, listen, do you mind if I model you, like, as for Medusa? Because Medusa could fit into Alice in Wonderland, right? And then the connection came to me. Alice and Pandora are the same story.
Yeah.
And then I had my angle, and I wrote it. And the rest is history. And that's how you go with epic poetry out of the bat. I also have a novel out too, but it's going to be my next 2 books are novels, and then I continue the Alice saga with Alice 2, right, which is Alice TOO.
Yeah, because Alice 1 is WON.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
All right. Yeah. So the Cloud Diver. that's your first novel, right? I mean,
Yes, it is.
I checked it out, and I think I even bought it from Kindle Unlimited today for
Nice.
a hell of a lot of money.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely, absolutely, tons of money, tons and tons of money. Yeah, no, it is my first novel. I learned a lot doing it. My next novel is going to be better because that novel taught me, even though it doesn't always, I don't feel it always shows this at the end, right? At the end of the finished product, it taught me how to make people feel. The next book and the book afterwards, oh, they are way better. And then I'm going to do Cloud Diver too, because Cloud Diver is a 4-book series. So you got four levels. Like level 1's came out, level 2 will be next, level 3. I know what level 3 is, and I know what level 4 is. So all the way up. So I have it's a 4-book series when I get back to it. But I'm writing, my next book's a homage to Fahrenheit 451 called Lights Out. I'm writing and illustrating that. I'm illustrating that one too, which is kind of scary as hell, but I am. And then, dude, I like I know we have to get to talking about you at some point, but dude, I'm the kind of guy that just does shit. I don't worry about what anybody else really thinks about it. I just do shit, and I make it as excellent as I possibly can, and then I leave the rest up to the rest.
Yeah, and that's working out pretty good for you.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah,
it's getting there.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like this game, like the art. The biggest lie artists tell themselves is that there's no money in art. That's not true. I'm at a Starbucks right now because going back home, I didn't realize that the internet had already been taken out. That's why I'm outside to doing this interview instead of inside. But the thing about it is, when I started freelancing, the thing that terrified me the most was I'd fuck it up, and I would end up back on a day job. I no longer have that mentality at all. My mentality is I'm going to succeed. And I'm not wired the same way anymore. I'm just not. I'm not wired to be an employee. I don't have that ability anymore I will respect anyone, my boss, anyone that pays me to do a job, but I'm not intimidated at all in any way anymore. It doesn't mean the same thing to me anymore, if that makes sense, right? So as a result, I'm fearless in the best way. Not like I don't give a shit. No, I don't give a shit, but not in the sense of I'm not worried about hurting other people. I'm going to do what feels right for me. Like what's in here needs to be out. Yeah, that's why it's in here, and that's what I'm gonna do. And if you like it, great. If you don't, fuck it.
Yeah, because that whole don't give a shit thing. It's one thing if you don't give a shit about people liking you or not. It's another thing completely if you don't give a shit about the quality of what you're doing.
There's a line with that, though. Even with that too, I'm not saying dog fuck it. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is though there's a lot of points right off the bat just putting something out there. Like I don't think people realize how many points there are just in that alone, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that way because yeah. So hold on a second.
I lost you there.
I'm not. Yeah. Anyways, no. But what it comes right down to, what it comes right down to, is the fact of the matter is that I've learned that showing up, doing what you say you're going to do, is pretty much the secret to anything.
Yeah.
Quality is important. It's what keeps them coming back. But so do the first two. And if you're good at just those first two, and you're decent at the third, repetition will eventually by default make you good. If that makes sense. By default.
It does. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And somebody said, I don't know who, but that like half of life is just showing up. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, if you show up every day to do whatever you're supposed to do, whether it's sit down and write 2,000 words, or show up for your 9 to 5, or be there for your family, then you're way ahead of, unfortunately, a lot of the human race.
Yeah. I have 10 rules to success. It's evolved to 10.
All right.
Evolved to 10. And the first rule is show up. I think it's the dumbest rule ever. I honestly still think it's the dumbest rule ever. But people don't do it. That's all there is. And really, that's all there is to say about that. I mean, I wish there was like a better answer to that question, but there isn't. The fact of the matter is, I think we all have an inner war with ourselves. And the war is, okay, I want to be a successful creative. I also want to eat. Sometimes, like now, my job is to see how to figure out how to make those two go together.
Yeah.
So they're right. But it's a lot of work. Right? It's a lot of work to make those two go together. And like I said, it's also about being honest about what you think about it too. Sometimes people not showing up, they are showing up. They're just showing up to what they want to, and they're honest about it. And those people I have no problem with, because they're I have talked to authors on here that just want to be part-time writers. Their family comes first, their job comes first, their other things come first. There's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, no. That's fine. They're honest about it, right? They're super honest about it, and that's the thing. I think what happens with a lot of people is they're not honest about their wants, and so what I think happens is they let their wants control them, and not the other way around, right? And that's what showing up is ultimately all about. There's that war of, okay, I want to do this, but I also want to do this. And sometimes it's a subconscious thing, or I'm afraid of something, which is also serving a want too. There's all kinds of wants and desires going on inside us. And more often than not, we don't take the opportunity, right, to see what those really are and really understand them. If you're afraid of it, why are you afraid of it? Are you afraid of it because it's too much like work? Are you afraid of it because, like today, I made 13 freaking videos. I got to like 9 or 10. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I want to get this shit done. Right. I just got to get this shit done. And I could have stopped. There's a want to stop there, but I didn't. I did take a break because it's like, okay, maybe I should just take a little break. But I went back to work. I took an hour off and I went right back at it again, because it's just, that's the job, right? Serving a want, right, is important, and understanding what those wants are. And I think when a lot of people don't show up, it's because, okay, I showed 2 job interviews today, because yesterday and today, because like I said, I got a job being paid to do fuck all. I mean, what, like it's hard to top, right?
Yeah, hard to turn that one down.
Yeah, so it's good work if you can get it, ladies and gentlemen. But it's one of those really weird things where you have to recognize that like what your wants are, right? And a lot of people don't always have it, right?
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Here. I'm just doing something really quick because okay, so I just let her know I'm podcasting. That the client that just got all her videos is giving me like an open response. She liked them. She's like, yeah, we got to polish them up a little bit. And that's going to be my job tomorrow. But that's a lot easier because they're made. Polishing is a lot simpler once you have the template nailed down. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's same with writing. I mean, once you get that mud on the wall, it's way easier to edit it and revise it than it is to stare at the blank wall and figure out what you're going to put up on it.
Yeah. No, it is. It's totally a thing. Now, you've talked an awful lot about me here. Let's flip this around, Mr. Pat. All right. So you're interested in me. I'm interested in you. So tell me, where did you come from in all this? Like, we were talking about like doing the grind, doing the day job and all that stuff. But I got this feeling, you got this dream. Yep. And my question is really simple. Where did you get started doing this?
Okay, so to quote my sister, I've always made shit up. so so it eventually, I mean, I've always loved reading and I've always wanted to write. And there's balancing the wants, like you were talking about. There's a billion other things that I want to do. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to get married. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to, have a dog, and all those things sometimes come into conflict. And so you got to prioritize them. And eventually I got to the point in my life where it was, you know what? I can prioritize this writing thing. And so it bubbled up to close to the top of my list, and I started grinding out pages. And Josh, I got to tell you, man, I thought my feces had no discernible odor. I thought what I wrote was
fantastic. Fucking fantastic.
Like people should pay me for the privilege of reading it. Beyond buying the book, they got to send me money just because this is so damn good.
You almost made me do a spit take. I'm just letting you know that. you almost.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that. I don't want you to choke on your.
Oh, it wasn't a choke. No. I got the nail that. I have a lot of practice. I have some guests that say some stuff I don't expect, right? And so I've gotten good at stop my gag reflex just going, nope, you're not spitting on your computer. Or
yeah, good plan. Good plan. Yeah, and so so right away I start sending out queries about, hey, would you like to be privileged to publish my work? And hey, what a surprise. I got a lot of refusals and a lot of people just ignoring me, not even responding. And so it was kind of like, huh. And I mean, you're probably in writing groups, right?
I'm in some writing groups. I haven't really been in any since the pandemic, but I have beta readers. I have people I trust to read my shit.
Yeah.
So they call me when my shit stinks. They legitimately call me out on that. So it's good.
Yep. And so, I was in a couple of writing groups, and it was all like, hey, well, this is all very nice, and oh, there should have been an apostrophe here, but by and large, it was crap feedback. It was, we all love each other, and let's all hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and talk about how great we are, and whine about why nobody wants to publish us. And then Alex Perry, a wonderful woman who got published by Little Brown for her mid-grade novel, Pig-Hearted.
Okay.
She was in one of my writing groups, and she finally got to the point where she couldn't take it anymore. And she said, okay, here's the problem. It's boring. And it's like watching somebody watch somebody else play a video game. And it was
welcome to Twitch, everybody.
Yeah, it was like, ouch. But it was also, an epiphany for me. It was like, holy crap. It does kind of suck. It is kind of boring. And so that was an eye-opener for me. And I started looking at my own crap with a different set of goggles, and rewriting and doing revisions. And I kept sending out queries and trying to find somebody to publish it. And eventually I did. But a lot of it was overcoming that whole my shit doesn't stink problem. And once I realized that, you know what, everybody's shit stinks. And the first few revisions of anything are going to suck. And a guy named John McPhee, who wrote for years for the New Yorker, wrote a book called Draft Number 4, I think it was called. And he just talks about how, it's essentially the first draft is for him. He just gets it out there, gets it on the page, and then from there he writes for the people that love him, and then writes for the people that hate him, and then makes it, diagrams his stories and everything, and tries to make it better. And the whole "you can make it better" thing is critically important.
Oh yeah. No, there's a very, like I said, going something you said earlier. We'll talk about this a little later. There is a fine line between perfection and progression, and I think as an author you need to recognize that, but especially in the beginning. Oh yeah, your shit absolutely stinks, and you have to find people honest. It's two parts to this. So my very first published work, and this is as much as I can, I'm going to tell you who the hero is, was for a book from Ben Bella Books. It was an essay about Aragon. I had a great idea. I was going to compare Aragon to Percival. By the way, that has ruined every fantasy book for me. Period. Doing that essay has ruined them all, right? But it's okay. In the best way though. It doesn't mean there is a good fantasy out there. I still read it, but I don't. I have to turn off certain parts of my brain sometimes with fantasy now, because even though it's evolved quite a bit, that the Percival mentality is still very prevalent in fantasy, and there's a reason for that. It works. It really does. Not going to argue with it. So, saying all that, recognizing that my first book, my first novel, could have been better. I could change it to make it better, but I don't think I'm going to, right? Because I think I want, like, for me, it's progression as much as anything else, right? If somebody happens to land on that and say, I hate that, and I hate the rest of his stuff, I'm okay with that. It was the best I could do at the time. And that's the real job, right? Your voice, your feelings, your actions, you got to do the best you can with what you have available to you. And especially in the beginning, finding really good feedback as an author is super hard, because again, if you're with people on the same level as you, they might be able to help you a little bit, but there's just things they don't see. They just don't. They can't, right? They don't have the practice. Someone that's been around a little bit, the longer someone's been around, the longer somebody's looked at a piece of work, the better it is, right? The better your stuff can be. That's it. It's not rocket science, but those first connections can be super hard to find.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Getting people to give you that honest feedback and tell you, hey, you got an ugly baby, and maybe this baby is so ugly you need to take it to the creek and drown it. It's a little harsh, but getting that honest feedback is critical.
Yeah. Well, again, there are ways not to make it so you want to make the author drown themselves on top of the baby. There are ways of doing that. But no, I mean, look, we're in the rejection business. If we're going to be very, very honest about this, I send something out to a freelance writing magazine. Hey, I'm going to pitch this. And they're going to say, why, Josh, this is wonderful. Or, oh, why, Josh, this is shit. This is absolute dog shit. It's fair, right? It's not. Yeah. It's not unfair, unreasonable, or cruel. It just is the way it is. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the truth.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I'd way rather hear that something that I wrote is shit than hear nothing. And we're so damn polite in the world these days that everybody gets a B, everybody gets a trophy. No, if I suck, I want to hear that I suck, because otherwise I'm not going to get better.
Yeah. Or like I said, and there are ways to cushion that a little bit, because even the absolute drizzling shits can have something redeemable. I'm not trying to be like, you're laughing because I'm just being absolutely honest, right?
Yeah.
I've been an editor for a magazine. For when I was in college, I was an editor. Oh, the things I saw. Oh, the things I saw. Right. And when it's really good, oh my gosh, nobody cheers louder than an editor, especially if it's really, really good. If it's really, really bad, everybody dies a little on the inside sometimes, right? And that's the thing, right? You want less of the dying on the inside, and you want more of the things that make you cheer. That's how this game works. But understanding how to do that, right? Understanding how to do that, that is a lifetime of work.
Yeah.
And, and there's a lot of ways to do it. I wrote a story about a glitter dragon, right? Because you're loud, you're already smiling, because it's a Kickstarter launches Monday, and on Monday, and on that Monday, I'm going to see my first illustration. Actually, that is so to show you how busy my next tomorrow is going to be. I'm playing with book brush, I'm drawing stuff, and I'm writing stuff for everybody. And then I'm doing another podcast tomorrow. So I'm just like, so I've hit a wonderful point in my life where I am starting to get busy. So eventually this is all I'm going to do. All right. And when I'm not doing that, I'm going to find a gym somewhere and work out and, occasionally chase women and sometimes maybe even catch them. Who knows? Right. But that all said, right. What it comes right down to is we like, you come to that point in this game when you recognize the fact that you understand how a story works.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of practice and time, and you also got to understand. I think this is the last crucial part of this is understanding what you give a shit about, because the best stories you can tell probably are close to the ones here. Whatever the trappings are, they're close to here. So there are some stories I can't do. That erotica romance, I probably couldn't do a serious one. I probably couldn't. And I say that with absolutely no disrespect to anyone that does it. That is an art form in and of itself. And to be fair, there's a lot of people make money doing that. So I say kudos to them. All my love, muzzle top to them, because it's an art form. But it's not one necessarily I'm going to be good at. Now, playing against croquet against Jason of the Argonauts in the underworld, I can do that. I have a little bit of the sense of the absurd. So since I have that sense of the absurd, I can tell a story that's a little absurd and entertain you, and then sucker you in and make you think somewhere along the way.
Yeah, right? and that's one of the things that I really love about writing is finding out that I made somebody think a little bit differently about something. Mm-hmm. That they they read a piece that I wrote and they scratched their head a little bit and thought, that's a different perspective, and that's success right there.
Yeah, it is.
Get somebody to challenge their preconceptions, whether it's a nonfiction piece or even writing a fiction piece. Make them think, what if the world really were like that?
That's horror in a nutshell. Like that's a good horror does that really well. Science fiction can do that as well. Those are genres that do that. Those things really well. But really, it's what you care about. Ultimately, it's what you care about, right?
Yeah.
I care, and understanding what those things are going to impact how you tell your story, and also Absolutely. The kind of stories you can tell. Well, that doesn't mean you can't tell a story you can't tell well either. And this might seem like a contradiction to anyone listening or watching this, but the fact of the matter is, going out of your comfort zone once in a while isn't a bad thing. You go back into your comfort zone a little bit better, right? So, I may write that erotica romance scene somewhere just because, it probably will be terrible, but I'll learn something, right? And then I can take that and I can take that back into my epic fantasy somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah. Pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is huge, I think.
Hmm.
But I'm with you. I don't know that I'm going to write any erotic romances, and part of that is because of where I am in life. I mean, I've got kids. I I can't imagine anything that would make me cringe more
Watching,
than yeah,
watching your kids
that
read your dirty mind. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. This is what a filthy pervert your dad is, and have them reading that stuff and going, oh my god, dad. So yeah, so I'm not gonna do that.
Uh, and to make it even weirder, right? Like again, the apple doesn't usually fall far from the tree. So, right?
Don't make me
So,
think that way, man.
yeah. So yeah, I'm just saying. Well, hey, I may have to officially be mad at them, but at some point I may have to send them away so I just don't stop laughing at my own because I'll
Yeah,
just see my own. I'll see myself. Parenting is, I think, if there's any person that has a right to judge you in this life, it's your kids, because you raised them,
yeah,
right? So how they turn out is because of you, at least a little bit, right? So
yeah,
if anybody has that right, it's them. So one of the things I kind of kept into mind with if I ever do have kids, this they are going to have the best and worst parts of me and whoever my significant other is, right? And I'm going to have to accept some things because I didn't fix me entirely. Why the fuck should I expect them to get it either? Right? It's honest,
yeah,
right? Right?
yeah,
It's an honest thing. You got to be real that way. Hopefully, they're better than me because that's what you want. But I mean, they're not going to be perfect either. And also, treating them good. This is the other thing too. I look at my dad, I look at my mom, I look at my parents differently than when I was a kid. That doesn't mean I like, especially like my dad's still there for me, love him to death, but he has his flaws.
yeah,
But he's a good dude, and I love him anyway, right? Because of who he is. Want your kids to look at you fondly when you're older for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, because they're going to see you, the facade come off. You're no longer going to be the superhero in their life. They're going to see a grown
yeah,
ass man with his good and his bad qualities. And as you get older, you give a little bit less of a shit about your bad qualities. Some of them you're still going to work at changing, but some of them you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? I'm good with it. I'm just good with it. Fuck it. Right?
yeah, yeah. This is just me, like it or not. I'm gonna do
Exactly.
this. Yeah,
Yeah. And your kids are going to see that. And you got to be okay with that. Right? You got
yeah,
to be okay with that too because again, if anyone can, it's them. So,
yeah.
that's my belief. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm crazy, but that's why I have a podcast. See.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you got a valid point there. You know, if anybody can judge you, your kids have the right to, because you've been the one that's had the most influence on them in their lives. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a fair take.
Yeah. So, I mean, so yeah, criticizing your kids for anything that you yourself did, be careful, folks. That's going to come back to bite you in the ass when they get older.
Yeah,
Yeah. Try to
yeah,
fix some things, but yeah, you're not going to get it all right. Don't. Again, I just realized this. I'm just hoping. I'm just hoping if I do have kids someday, it'll be I was good to them, and they'll be good as a result. Like, I have very simple hopes because I've seen anyone with these grandiose hopes. I've watched them go down in flames. Nope. I just want them to do what makes them happy. I want them to be happy, and hopefully, they're okay with their crazy old man still doing crazy things into his 70s and 80s. You know?
yeah, yeah. And it's I've got friends that have kids, and from all that I see from the outside of their family dynamic and everything, they're great parents. And then you watch the kids grow up, and you go, "Oh, that little guy is just going to be batshit crazy," or we're going to see them in an orange jumpsuit one day, and Yeah, I don't think it's all parents, but I think a big chunk of it is parents. I think there's just some genetic goo in there that sometimes can just erupt, and you go, holy cow, where did that come from? And you get a double recessive for the whole chain of the DNA strand, and man, you're looking at them going, there, but for the grace of God, that can be my kid.
Yeah. Well, but also be careful on that one too. That's what I would tell people as well, because this is something that came to me as I got much older in my life. I don't know what everybody's been through around me. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Right? So I ain't gonna judge anybody anymore. I don't care. What I'm going to care. Here's what I care about. What is my experience with you? That's it. Because it's the only thing I can really go by. Anything else, I mean, someone can say anything about you they want to, right? They can. So they can say what they want, but it's the experience you have with people that are going to impact your relationship with those people. That's it. That's all there is to this. So yeah, so it's something I've learned doing it. It's something I've it's something I just learned in this life. It's also doing this podcast. I talk to all kinds of people, man. They're all different, and they're all wonderful in their own ways, and they're all little nuts in their own ways too, right? And I love it, but I also just know never to judge people for it, because what can I say? Like I don't. If I go by, I have my own context of what I think how the world works, but I'm a big enough man to realize that I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And so I realize that. So that when I let people I just figure give people the freedom to feel like they can be themselves, the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's it. And if anything else, look, there are some things people do. I look at them and go, good luck to you, buddy. I love you, but good luck to you. Yeah. But at the same time, what the fuck do I know? I'm just doing, I don't understand how the world works. I get more confused every day, not less. So.
Yeah, you get to a point where you think you had to figure it out, and then the sun rises the next morning and you realize, I don't know. People do crazy things. The world is much more complex and convoluted and crazy than we can even give it credit for. It's
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, heck, I thought I would have a flying car and a jetpack by now.
Yeah, sure.
No, don't have one.
We don't. Well, okay, how about we put it this way? Depending on what you read, they may or may not exist, but there's no prototype, right? There's no. It's not everywhere. Although seriously, do you want people flying around flying cars, really? Because somehow, see, this is my bet. This is just my thing. All that sky, all that space, and someone would be stupid enough to cut off an airplane. Someone would be that dumb, right?
Yeah.
Someone would do it. Someone would try to cut it. And here's the thing: up there, that airplane ain't gonna turn on a dime up there either. You got a lot of weight, momentum. It's gonna eat some like air cars, man. Or it better have like an artificial intelligence that's actually intelligent up there, because it's like, hi, take over for me. I'm a little, and then just, you pass out. These cars drive. Some of them don't look the other way. I'm watching them. I'm keeping a very extra guard up, because they have not turned to see me on the sidewalk to turn, when they should be looking at me to see me to turn, and they're not doing it. I saw two people turn left off of Camelback and some freaking strip mall entrance, right? They both turned. Neither of them looked left, turning left. And I know this because they T-boned each other, right? On the road. So I can only imagine what an air car would be like, right, for these people, because it'd be like, you have all this space, and somehow, some way, you're going to be magnetically attracted to other people in a cluster, because that's how human nature works. One thing I used to work at a line. They wouldn't even see the freebie. They would just look where everybody else is going, and you're just going there.
Yeah, it's going to follow the crowd.
Right? So Air cars, this is what would happen. You'd have all these people in the air, okay? You have one guy driving by himself, and he's the smart one. Then you have all these other cluster of people just driving together. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what would happen. And up there, if someone fucks up, like down here, it can be bad enough if someone fucks up. Most of the time, though, the cop is laughing at you because you fucked up and you were an idiot. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time. And the rest of the time, it's how do I put this? Right? It's just minor piddly shit. That's it. Most of the time. Now, sometimes it's serious.
By something other than a human being, because we're just going to mess it up. I mean, I was just over in Niger, and in the capital city, they've got all these traffic circles, and traffic circles probably sounded great 100 years ago. It's like, oh, everyone will come to this intersection and they'll turn right and they'll just go around the circle until they get to their exit and they'll go off and everything will be fine. And you'll yield to the person, that's already in the circle and everything will be fine. Except now you've got the same traffic circle 100 years later and you're trying to put 10,000 cars through it in a 2-hour period, and it's just chaos. And I was, through the brilliance of my company, they did not allow me to drive, thank God. And so we had a local driver, and going to the hotel, we get to one of these traffic circles. It's like the third in a row of continuing chaos. And we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. And we get up to where we're now right at the traffic circle. And we have to go about 300 degrees around this traffic circle to make what would have been a sharp left in most places. And so we're waiting, trying to get into the traffic circle. And finally, the driver throws his hands up in the air and turns left into the traffic circle. So we're going nose to nose with every other car. And so horns are honking, people are screaming, more honking, waving, and suddenly we're on our road going the way we wanted to. But it was like, holy crap, somebody's going to do that in the sky. And it's not just going to be honking, it's going to be bent metal and bodies falling down among flaming debris.
So here's the Peanuts comics version of that. Remember Snoopy with the goggles and the pilot thing and World War I flying against the Red Baron? There's going to be a lot of Red Barons up there, right? And there's a lot, not so many flying. Everybody will think they're the flying aces, but they're not. There's going to just be a bunch of Red Barons taking everybody down with them, right? It's just right? Like I said, I love the dream of a flying car is awesome. The idea of flying, but I think the only other way it works is this. The only other way it works is there's no lanes. There's no lanes at all, and that people just do their thing. Because so here's the flip side of that. Sometimes, see, this is the thing about life. There's a natural equilibrium sometimes that works. It may not be perfect, but it works. If you're going to replace it, you got to make sure it doesn't fuck up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It doesn't make, by attempting to solve a problem, it doesn't create 8 more problems that are going to be worse.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the flip side of it too. So if we're going to do air cars, if we're going to do all these things, right? Why not so we got to figure out what's better. No control, because I would force people to think about it, right? Or a few controls, tiny controls, right? So that no one tries to feel like they're going to play chicken against an airplane. Because, right? I was a truck driver, right? So he would go on the road. He's driving this big rig. He can't maneuver very well. So, but sometimes, depending on what city he went into, some moron would try to cut him off just because they're trying to beat traffic. And I remember one time. So those tire bolts in those tires, they're thick. They're thick. Right? They can go through steel. So a guy cut him off, right to his side. All of a sudden, you heard thunk 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 thunk. Dad can't stop. There's no way he can stop. He's right. He's a big giant ass truck with a trailer. You're not going to do that. The car looked like a can opener. No one died. Cop was right there. Cop was laughing at this guy. It's like, why the fuck would you try to cut off him? Why would you do that? Why? Right?
Yeah, it's like they got no concept of momentum.
Yeah, it's like I said. I'm not saying, by the way, that everybody's dumb, but there is enough of it out there, so it's like a debate. Can you make a law so you can only go this high? That's it. That way we don't play chicken with airplanes, right? Because we don't want that, because you're gonna lose. Because you're gonna lose, right? Or so you either do that at minimum, or you have nothing. You have let everything kind of go for a while and kind of figure out if people can figure out that natural equilibrium, because there is to everything, right? So you just got sometimes it's the best way. I'm not sure which way that would go, but I do foresee a lot of stupid shit in the air, just based on what I see in the image.
Well said.
Yes.
That kind of boils it down to the final analysis. There's going to be a lot of stupid shit in the air. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some, but I mean, I'm sure there's be some cool shit too. Like that's just like the way coolest. Like I again, little kid in me, right? I still pop a little bit when I see a Papa Willie on the road. Like it's dumb, but there's a little part of me that just goes,
oh yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. Yeah, yep. I get
it. Making road graffiti in dirt in the middle of a park does nothing to me. Popping a wheelie in the middle of the city does. That might say something about how crazy I am. I'm good with that. But
it's all right.
Yeah. So that's why that's why I don't have a car. I'd be doing a lot of Papa Wheelies. So let me think about this. Let's go back to you here.
All right.
So you realized at one point that your shit stank.
Yeah.
So what did you do to get better?
I got more feedback, and then God, so many people say this. Oh, read more. I read a ton already, but reading critically and actually looking at how other authors deal with dialogue or scenes or attribution of characters or character descriptions, and then when you start trying to do it, it's not as easy as you think. You actually have to think about some of this, like, oh, I introduced a character. What does this character look like? What's relevant to what they're doing? Because you don't want to give them, if it's a minor character, you don't need to give their 8-page backstory, because that's just going to cause people to tune out. But how can you, in a couple of sentences, give enough about the character that people can both picture him or her or it or they and understand how they're going to behave in a particular situation? So reading a little more critically other people's stuff, people that I admire, reading their stuff and going, oh, looking at it and having read the book, and now you're reading it again with an eye to how they actually do the craft was critical. And then of course, getting the people that are willing to tell me, how badly my shit stunk, was key.
Book of his, Snow Crash. I love Snow Crash.
I love Snow Crash, but I've got a special place in my heart for Cryptonomicon. What was his most recent one? Seven Eves, or was it? Did he write something after that? Anyway, I just love his stuff. And then I'm an old sci-fi fan as well, so a lot of Heinlein and Asimov, and read those, and then so just looking at how they do things has helped me.
So for me, so Stephenson's ambitious. The thing I love about him is he's very ambitious. His little details are incredible. The only knock I had with him is that sometimes I think he falls in love with his gear, like the little doodads and gizmos he's adding to his stories a little too much. But he does it. But he is one of the most ambitious writers out there. And straight up, folks, I'm going to acknowledge this. His point of view on the Tower of Babel has definitely influenced my writing as well, because I really like his take on it. But Asimov's interesting because there are what I call the two phases of Asimov. There is the golden era Asimov, which honestly, if you can, he would not be published today with a lot of that stuff today, because with the possible exceptions of his foundation books and his Elijah Bailey, his foundation books are brilliant. Even they still stand up today. They're really, really good. The first three in the series really, really stand up well. But his post nonfiction career, because he went heavy into nonfiction for about 15 years.
Yeah.
His post nonfiction run in science fiction is phenomenal. Like, there's not a bad book among all of those at all. He was way better when he came back. Right? So, like, he is a fascinating study of a man that literally wrote about everything. He did. There's not one subject he did not touch even a little bit. But his writing style, again, also living proof. Be prolific enough, you just by default get better. That's him in a T. But the other part of this too, the other aspect of it is like I said, just you could tell that him going out of his comfort zone, writing nonfiction, excited him. And when he came back, it added so many layers to his fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder about that a little bit. Was it when he was writing nonfiction, were the editors more critical because they could essentially fact check it, or they could look for peer reviews, or was it just that he had more practice?
So I have a theory about that, and it's based on the fact that I've been dealing with ad copy and a few other things lately. My creative fiction background has made it so that he spent the first 30 years of his career writing fiction. He spent the next 15 writing exclusively nonfiction. So what I think happened was, because he's also, like, his essays are some of the best essays I've ever read. Like, his nonfiction is actually, I think, better than his fiction, because he has a wonderful gift as a science fiction writer to boil down his concepts into 1 or 2 pages. Some science fiction guys have diarrhea to explain their concepts. Not Asimov. Asimov had it down to a science within a page or 2 max. He let you explain the concept that needed to be explained as quickly as possible, and then got back to the story he was telling. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, it made his nonfiction especially strong, because he could put a plethora of concepts into his nonfiction and through storytelling devices to help people understand what he was talking about. And that was his real gift as a writer, is that ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Yeah. Well, and I'll buy into it, at least for now. Because he did boil things down very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Broke is a bit of a read. I'll give it. That was actually the last stuff of his I actually read. I read The Diamond Age, Snow Crash, Necro, and The Baroque Cycle. So that's what I've read of his. So.
Yeah, and I couldn't finish it because he got a little too carried away with with his pet theories or his natural language stuff here and there, and it was like, all right, I only got so many breaths left in this life, and I'm not gonna waste any more of them on this particular book. And that's, for me, that was really hard, because I love his other stuff.
Yeah.
And so to actually put down a book of his and say, okay, I give up, it was a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. No, because again, and it's also just not every book's for you, right?
Yeah.
Not every book's for you. I've learned that. So now I've gotten older and wiser. So this is the shit I really dig. Michael Moorcock,
Uh-huh.
so, right? I am a big Hawkmoon guy. I love Hawkmoon, right? I think Hawkmoon is like bombastic in like the best ways. It's steampunk before there's steampunk. It's just crazy batshit fun. That's how I call it. Like, it's just silly, good fun. Then you got Roger Zelazny, and that is the model of book I want to write.
Uh-huh.
I want to have a dense, fun, engaging read that's quick. I don't want to be that guy that I mean, I have enough diarrhea on this show. I don't need to have diarrhea in my books, right? So
Yeah.
right. So I want something that feels. I want to be the like the quote unquote the adventure escapism novel kind of deal.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to be, but Pratchett just wrote good yarns that were occasionally like brilliant, like beyond belief brilliant. And that's the thing, like Pratchett had wrote some of the most profound literature I've read is from Pratchett, some of it. And he was just trying to tell a funny story. And I like it when that's what all you care about. Where if you tell a great story and you just happen to talk about all this other really cool shit,
Yeah.
right, as a part of telling that story, and lay that ponder. I mean, Lewis Carroll, like my Alice stuff. Lewis Carroll is interesting. Is it's a silly story, but people get so much from it, right? Just
Yeah.
because of all the little layers he put in there, just for the sake of telling a story. No more, no less, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? We do this. We do this with ourselves all the time in this life, and that sometimes the hardest thing is we try to pretend to be something we're not, and or sometimes we go for ambition. Like us, like I said, Stephenson, he's ambitious. Sometimes he hits it right out of the park, and sometimes he doesn't. And that's what I can applaud at least his attempt. Right? May not be
Yeah.
always for me, but it's his attempt. But that's who he wants to be as a writer. I want to be Zelazny or Moorcock because that shit's fun, and that's all I
Yeah.
want. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I get it. I mean, I'd like to be a Heinlein kind of something. I want my stories to be fun. I want you to pick up a story that I write and find it so engaging that you're willing to stay up late reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to put it down and you go, oh God, I got to get up at work in the morning. And so maybe you force yourself to do it, but I want it to be something that lingers enough that you can't wait to get back to it. And it doesn't have to be the great novel. I don't think I'm ever going to write something that's a Pulitzer Prize winner or anything like that. And I still want to write stuff that people like to read because there's a lot of stuff that's award winning that just kills me. Now, sometimes you got to read stuff that's enlightening because it's important to you, it's important to your life. But mostly when I read, I want to read something that I enjoy.
Yes. No, and that's most people. You know what? Like okay, so as someone, Alice Zero got nominated for an award,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's cool. Didn't win, but I got nominated. That's really really cool. And when I make a physical copy of the book, I'll definitely put it somewhere that this book. That's a bigger reward to me than any award out there. That's what serves me best. And that's the thing. Like the last I don't know which path you want to do, whether you want to still be traditionally published, because it sounds like that was your initial goal. I don't know if that's your goal now.
Yeah,
Hold
well,
on, hold on a second here. But to be a takeaway from my books, I hope so. Like to answer your question there, Buster Luna, is I hope so. But the thing is, I can't control that. People are going to get out of my books what they want to get out of my books, right? It's there. like if you read my Alice Zero, for example, I'm not just talking about Alice trying to figure out who she is inside a prison. I'm dealing with a relationship with her and the Cheshire Cat, and I'm talking about some themes of trauma and abuse. They're in there without ever actually me overtly going into great detail about them. And in Alice 1, I expound on that a little bit more, dealing with the concept of shadow and ego. There's a lot of Carl Jung in my Alice series. But if you just tell me, I really liked your book, I had a lot of fun reading it, I get something out of that too. And that's what I'm going for. Anything else is wonderful. And I'm not going to ever say that it's a bad thing, but it's not what I'm going for. It doesn't necessarily serve me. I want to, when people read it, feel something.
Beyond having a good time reading the book, I kind of want people to come away with a sense of hope.
Yeah.
There's plenty of dystopian stuff out there, but I'd like.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
you
plenty of
just
dystopian.
Out for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no worries, not your fault.
Okay. And I think there's also plenty of room for hope and happiness and good guys and bad guys and romance and love without there having to be, a million dark layers in between.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, here's the thing. You can tell a story however you want to tell a story, however you want to do it. That's the cool thing. And today, publishing has a lot of different avenues and options too, which is fucking cool. Like, it's not just cool. It's like, it's really, really cool. So the objective today is, as a creative, also as a reader, what kind of book serves you? Yeah. And that's it. It's out there. Whatever it is, it's out there, right? So for me, I wrote an Alice in Wonderland book. The next book is going to be a Fahrenheit 451 thing. Next book after that's going to be like a Russian pulp story with what is a good person? What, like, seriously, what is a good person? What is that really? What does that actually look like, right? Because most people will say, I'm a person, and all the while, her leg was bothering her because in her younger days, she would crouch for hours, right? And not feel a damn thing. Now that she's a little older, all of a sudden, like, her knees a little bendy and a little sore. It's like, what is that? She actually puts a guy in a body scissors as she says, this feels so much better. And as he goes unconscious underneath her, it's like, so much better. All the weight's off, right? Right? And again, I'm being silly. I'm having a good time. But I'm also, like, I told you some things about Corey without actually saying anything. I told her she's a little older, a little wiser. I'm not going to say she's long in the tooth exactly, but she's been around. She's done this for a while, right? So now she's just like, and again, so the priorities for her are different. So like when you look at a story, they're all out there for you. If someone wants to let's read this dark, disturbing noir story, they exist. If someone wants to escape into a love story with some erotic romance, that exists. If you want to have a zombie penguin apocalypse, I am certain that exists somewhere, right? That is the world we live in. Yes, that is the world we live in today. So why not just embrace it? And then again, the one thing about today, there is freedom. So real quick before we go down this path and wrap this up, I'm guessing you're old school Heinlein fan, not a new school Heinlein fan, because we were talking about not writing that erotic stuff. I mean, Heinlein, like post the 60s, post Stranger in a Strange Land, is one hell of a sexual education. It's just one.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Time Enough for Love. It's like, whoa.
That's just not Job of Comedy of Justice. Like any of them, right? Any of them even Stranger itself. It's like, wow, I know what a Texas Star is. I don't know if I should know that at 16 years old, but I do know what that is.
Yeah, and actually I loved all of his stuff. And just because I'm not comfortable writing it doesn't mean that I'm not happy to read it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It's Go ahead.
My favorite of the new school stuff is Java Comedy of Justice.
Yeah.
But my favorite one all time is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress.
Very good book.
Yes.
Very good book. I think my favorite of all time was Stranger in a Strange Land.
Ah, I thought he fell in love with Jubal Harshaw a little too much. That's
little bit.
Robert Heinlein fell in love with that man. He did. He like that was a man crush that became a foil blower on, because Jubal had way too many scenes, especially in the second half of that book. It's like, okay, why is he narrating? But no, it's definitely it's there. There's a lot of there's a he definitely shaped science fiction. Like the golden age, he was the man. Like it wasn't even close. He was the man. The postmodern age. Well, I got to interview one of his biggest fans, who actually finished his last novel, which was Spider Robinson. I got to interview him.
I love him.
Yes, Spider is a brilliant mind. He is really fun. I did an interview with him, and oh my God, he was without a doubt one of the funniest interviews I've ever had. He told me his White House story, and I was in tears, because that's the dude that's literally had dinner at the White House, right? So, but we live in an interesting, like I said, it's made, but again, Heinlein inspired Robinson, and Robinson's inspired others as well. It's amazing to see the science fiction tree, like how it's evolved. The only thing I would say today is I wish there was more good modern science fiction out there. There is some, like Rob Sawyer does a really good job. Rebecca Roanoke, I think is her name. She does a really fun job of it as well. But there's not. I mean, China Myville is fun when he releases something, and Stephenson occasionally does. But there's not a lot of big science fiction names anymore, and I wish there was more of them.
I'm with you there. I've been reading Miles Cameron, Artifact Space, and not only is it well written, he's got some really unique and original concepts in there that are making me fall in love with him. I'm definitely going to pick up other books of his to read, but yeah, I agree with you. There's not nearly as much out there as I would hope for.
Look, I think everything has its time and place. It might come back again. In the meantime, I'm going to shoot for being the next Zelazny / Bradbury / whatever the fuck I am, right? Damn. And you're going to be the next Heinlein, the old school Heinlein, huh?
There you go.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Hey, aspire big, my friend. Go for it. So, one last question, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up, and we'll pitch all your stuff for the day. So, are you going for traditional? Are you going for indie? Are you going to try to be a little bit bold and experimental like I'm about to? Or, like, what are your goals?
Yeah, man, I got to give props to you for the whole Kickstarter thing and Brandon Sanderson. Well, it's not as much of a stretch for him because he's already got an established platform.
That's a partial. If you heard my spiels before, that's only part of the reason why that worked.
Yeah.
Right. There's more to it than that. He created a Disneyland package.
Yeah.
Right. And what you got to think about is, okay, yes, you're not Brandon Sanderson. You're not likely going to have that much come to you on any Kickstarter anytime soon, but you can offer a Disneyland package, and you don't need a lot of customers to make a quote ton of money either.
Yeah.
Right. You got to think of it like a business. Like, okay, what is the dream experience I can give to a reader? Like, what is the dream experience, and how can I do that? You know what I mean? If you can figure that out, well, my friend,
that's keys to the kingdom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm a small press guy right now. Inklings Publishing is my publisher, and I'm committed to them for at least the duration of the stories in this universe. And who knows where I'll go from there. But I think I'm the kind of guy that needs a little more supporting structure. I need good developmental editors. I need a publisher who's not afraid to tell me, God, this sucks, so fix it.
in all fairness, if I do just go back into traditional publishing again at some point down the road, it probably will be a small press.
Yeah.
I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not just going to say no to the money. I'm hypocritical enough to acknowledge that if the money was right, I'd be there tomorrow. But barring that, I don't really have an interest in getting into any of the big houses. I think the smaller houses in publishing are much more interesting right now. They take a lot more chances, and also they try to support their authors and their readers. I think they'd make a much better concerted effort of doing that right now.
Yeah, yeah. And my publisher has hooked me up with a publicist, and
yes,
you don't get that from Random House or Little Brown. You get the book tour, but you don't get the publicist who hooks you up with stuff like this.
Yes. Hi, Mickey. So I was around when Mickey got started. How do I put this? If he does listen to this, I don't know if he will listen to this, but if he does listen to this, I have been very impressed at how far he's come. Once upon a time, like I said, I have seen how he has come and treated his authors a lot more going forward, and he's become a lot more polished, but also I just think a lot softer in the right ways with dealing with them. And everybody that works with him now, I just see an improvement. He's come a very long way. So Mickey, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, kudos to you, my friend. You've done very well for yourself.
Amen, brother. And he's done very well for me.
Yeah, exactly. You're here. I mean, you got to make an ass of yourself with me for almost 90 minutes, and you seem to have a good time.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd be talking about Papa Wheelies and air car accidents, but hey, that's what we did today.
Yeah, you start these things and you always think, or at least I always think, okay, it's going to be the traditional thing. Where do you get your ideas? What's your writing day like? Have you always wanted to be an author? And thank you so much for asking none of that crap.
No, I think the only thing I asked is how'd you get into this? Because I think that's a fair question, right? Yeah, that's always fair. But besides that, no, dude, we talked a lot about books. We also just talked about life because good interviews are just go anywhere. I mean, this is called Just Joshing for a reason. So you just go anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I did not think I was going to be talking about parenting.
No, but that ended up happening, right?
Yeah, we ended up there. That's fine.
Yeah, and like I said, for someone that's never had a kid, I almost sound like I know what I'm talking about. Almost.
But you've been a kid.
I've been a kid. No, I have been a kid, and I've been in a broken home, so I know I've seen what happens when families go south. So I've always kept that in mind. My father is definitely an example of the kind of parent I want to be if I ever do become a parent. But I mean, I've also seen examples in my own family of what parents shouldn't be too. So I've seen both, and I want to be more like my dad than most because he's still a great parent. But Mr. Pat, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I think so.
Okay, so why don't we talk about your book? Because we've done everything but. So, tell me about your latest release and where people find you.
Okay, the latest book, well, really, let's be honest, the only book is Spark, and it is available on Amazon. I think if I had to name it again, I'd probably give it a different name because it turns out that Spark is a fairly popular name for books. But you can, So if you go Spark by Pat Daly, you'll find it. And also, all the standard socials, my website, my blog, all that will have links to take you there. But yeah, the book is Spark. It's a near future science fiction that showcases a couple of disruptive technologies and the impact that can have on the world and the unfortunate disruption it can have in lives. So
sounds cool. Sounds
Yeah.
cool, man. Cool.
And it's got
Cool.
a big gaming sub theme.
Are you in D&D or do you D&D?
Once upon a time, I D&D'd, and I have gotten away from tabletop gaming just because sometimes it's kind of hard to find it. So I do most of my gaming online these days.
Nothing wrong with that. Me too. So how can people find you? What's your website?
Website is thepatdaily.com. And from there you can find my blog, you can find Facebook, Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
Did I get that right?
Yep, that's it.
I am almost a trained professional, Pat. Almost. Don't tell anybody because
that's right. Don't try this at home.
Well, you can try this at home. I'm not gonna. I'm not your role model, right? Listen. If you do it better than I do, mazel tov, everybody. Like mazel tov, because you know what? I just I didn't say I was funny. I just said I had a show. That's pretty much the whole of my secret. But to everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you want to support me, you can do so a number of different ways. This is my latest book release. This is Alice 1. Alice 1 is Alice in Wonderland and Greek mythology kind of mashed up together. Alice is Pandora. She opens a certain box and gets a certain Cheshire friend to inside her head. And in part 2 here, Alice 1, after escaping her prison, she chases the Queen of Hearts over the edge of the world and ends up in the Greek underworld, where to escape, she is going to have to, I hope I spelled that right, and she's going to have to play croquet against Jason of the Argonauts. And in this place, Alice and company encounter gods, monsters, and perhaps the most terrifying thing of all, ladies and gentlemen, themselves. It's available now, basically on Kindle. There is a very good chance there will be a physical book this year. There also might be a board game that comes with it. I accidentally invented a board game with this, but that's another story for another day.
Ooh, cool.
And for any book creative out there that actually wants to get their content for them to advertise, I will create it for you. Video, audio, words, and pictures about you, your projects, and where people can find you. I will create all of that for you. The information can be found there. Definitely go check that out if you're into that sort of thing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. I got myself one more podcast in Canmore, Alberta for the final time. That is tomorrow. Then I'm in Calgary for the foreseeable future. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. The sun has now blinded my picture, but that's okay. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Take care.